What's going on, guys? RT Stiggs here, bringing you my first ever YouTube cast of a professional StarCraft series. This is going to be a best of 5 series taken from the Cyberathlete Professional League Championship here, which was only at the beginning of this month, so not but a couple of weeks ago. Our competitors are going to be Jim here in the bottom right-hand corner and Marine King here in the bottom left-hand corner. So both of these players are very well established. They've got some excellent victories under their belt. Marine King is, of course, a very well-known figure within the StarCraft world. And Jim, he's a little bit newer, but he's more new to us, I guess you could say. He's been playing since 2011, and here recently you might have seen him in the WCS America Championship. So he did finish in 5th place in that tournament, which is pretty impressive. Most definitely, he ended up losing to Jaedong, the runner-up in that series or in that tournament. So that's definitely nothing to be ashamed of, losing to Jaedong, and I believe it was even a 2-1. So he still did take a victory off of Jaedong, but he did finish up 5th place. Still a very strong competitor and a very entertaining competitor to watch. So we can definitely expect an interesting game out of these two players. Now, a little bit about the map that we are on. We are on Newkirk Precinct, so the first thing I want to do is point out this huge open space here right around the main base. That means we can expect to see some sort of aerial harassment, so we might be seeing some Oracle harassment coming from Jim, or maybe some drops coming out of Marine King early on. But we will have to see if either one of these players decides to go for that. At a glance, it looks like we most likely will be seeing a Reaper expand coming out of Marine King, which is something completely standard. And over here we have Gateway going down, Assimilator. We'll probably see this being followed up with a Cybernetics core. So nothing particularly unusual coming out of either one of these players. I do want to talk about the tournament just a little bit, though, because these players have already met once in this tournament in a best of 3 series. I believe, what was it? The winners finals, actually. Marine King lost to Jim 1-2 or 2-1, however you want to say that, and Marine King was knocked down to the losers bracket where he had to face Todd to come back to this grand final series, this best of 5. So Marine King is already down 1 series against Jim, and even though that doesn't affect his tournament score so much, that's definitely going to be affecting his mentality of how he views this game and how he views this entire series. He knows that Jim is not a player to be trifled with anymore, and he's really going to know that this is going to be a difficult series. This is going to be a difficult game. Now, we do see that expansion going ahead and being dropped by Marine King, and it looks like he did end up going for a slightly modified Reaper expand. Dropped that reactor down first on the barracks so he can get twice the harassment, I guess you could say. We do have the Mothership core on out, and that should be able to push this harassment back unless Marine King is willing to sacrifice those units. We'll have to see how that ends up going. Both of the Reapers do pop, and they will be coming on out across the map. Taking a look at these players, we do have that warp gate being researched, which is completely standard. Gotta have that as Protoss, nothing unusual. Marine King is going to be following this up with the engineering bay, so planning on getting some upgrades immediately after this. Reapers are going to dart around the natural and slide right on up that ramp. So Jim definitely not really paying attention. Reapers are going to get 1 probe kill and be pushed back by the Stalker and the Mothership core. Probably sitting there a little bit embarrassed about letting that slip by. I wouldn't want to be the Mothership core right now. Definitely a mistake on Jim's part right there, not paying attention and letting those guys slip up the ramp. Now, Marine King, he did get that free probe kill, so he's definitely going to be glad about that, but at the same time, he got some valuable scouting information. Let's go ahead and take a look at his vision and jump on across the map. He didn't see that much, but what he didn't see any unusual play. He didn't see anything like a Stargate or anything like that. And having seen the robotics facility go down, that pretty much told him Jim's tech path. Now he's going to be jumping on into the natural, getting 1 more probe kill before having his Reapers pushed back by that photon overcharge. So Jim going ahead and spending the energy from his Mothership core to activate that ability, and this Reaper is going to be dancing on around the northern part of the map. Quite satisfied that he escaped with his life and with that 1 probe kill. So jumping back to Marine King's base, we are going to see the factory, probably put a reactor on that and immediately have this SCV build the starport to work on getting those medevacs. But right now, it looks like Marine King is going to be pushing on across the map. This is a force of 8 Marines and this 1 Reaper. So he's saying, you know what? From what I saw, I can push this base, and from what I'm seeing, Marine King is right. He knows that the photon overcharge has been expended, and all we have right here are 2 Stalkers, a Sentry, and the mothership core. So the Reaper's going to be darting on up that ramp, taking a look, and Marine King says, yes, I can take this, and moving on in. Target fires the Sentry, target firing a Stalker, 1 falls, the second is barely going to make it, probes pulled off the line, and a probe massacre is taking place. Reinforcements coming in from Marine King, and he pushes forward once again, tries to get the mothership core, barely doesn't, but more probes pulled off the line, going to die to save that mothership core. We are down to just a few Marines now, going to push forward, try to get the mothership core once more. These last 2 Marines are going to get it and be immediately cleaned up by the Stalkers. But you know what? Marine King definitely saying that is worth it. That was worth my time and my resources. Going to go ahead and pull back these last few units. Let's go ahead and open up the Units Lost tab. That's not it. There we go. So we did have 18 workers killed by Marine King, 2 of those from the Reaper harassment earlier on, and then the other 16 from that timing attack right there. So that was definitely worth it, and Marine King very glad with those results. We do have the Observer sitting on over the starport, probably going to be watching for any drops that might be coming, and from the position of this army, we can expect it. Behind this, Marine King is going to be dropping 2 barracks. He's going to be working on his stim pack, his combat shields, and his +1 defense. Doesn't look like, let's look at the production tab real quick. It looks like the only thing that's going to be ready in time for this drop is the stim packs. So he's going to have that, but they'll be a little bit weaker without that combat shield. Jim is a little bit out of position here. He's got his sentries and stalkers dancing around the ramp to the natural, but the drop is coming in the main base, so this is going to be able to drop without any harassment whatsoever. No stalkers trying to push this back. The Marines are going to dart on in, immediately get some probe kills. No photon overcharge because there is no energy, and these probes are just getting massacred. There we go. That is the GG coming on out of Jim. So Marine King definitely having a very strong game number 1 and really dominating this game. He controlled this battle from the very beginning, and I would really say the biggest turning point would be when Jim really expended his energy to put the photon overcharge on this Nexus to push back the Reapers. So he went for such a heavy tech and macro-oriented play, definitely going with the Robo facility, going for the Forge. All at the very beginning, he had such a small army that really he didn't have anything to hold back this attack. He was really counting on that photon overcharge to be able to push back any early aggression. So whenever he burned it to push back the Reaper harassment, which while it was doing damage, I don't know if that was worth it, that really just weakened his defense from the follow-up push that came from Marine King. So some excellent play and excellent ability to read the battlefield coming out of Marine King. Let's go on into game number 2 and see how Jim responds to this. This has been RT Stiggs, and I'll see you guys shortly.